Hello everyone, it's me, your girl Miss Vital, aka the Classroom Management Diva, aka Mrs. I'm here to help you get your ish together. That's right, and when we talk about the ish, we're talking about your inspiration, your saving, and your healing, because that's what we're all here to do. Let's face it, if you're not inspiring, saving, or trying to heal somebody or yourself, then that means you're operating in that other ish, and that's that ISH. That's your ignorance. That means you just don't know. Your self-gratification, that means that it's all about you, and then your hurts. That's right, we come into this thing. Life gives us a lot of hurts. But if you don't address those hurts, and you still have them harbored inside, and you wonder why you're acting constipated, then that's why. Okay, and so, but we all have our moments when it's time for us to get through that. So, but that's what I'm here for today anyway. I'm here to inspire you. So, anyhow, today I'd like to address a topic, okay? And this is a topic that I've been wanting to address for a long time now, and it's about daycare depression. I'm not just going to say daycare, but I'm just going to say home daycare depression, okay? I was inspired by making this video by, I guess you can say, one of those groups that I'm on Facebook. So there was a lady who posted today that, she was kind of feeling, I guess you can say, some kind of way about the business that she was in, because she felt that, her whole entire life revolved around what she was doing with the daycare, and she felt like she had no life anymore. She sounded a little hopeless to me through her message or whatever the case may be. And so I could definitely relate to that. And so this is partially the reason that I, decided to go ahead and make the video. One of the, even though I've been having this on my heart for a long time, there are things that kind of push you into that realm of addressing some things. So this was that one. Before I get into the topic, I do want to address the beeping sound, okay? So I did change out my battery for some of you who said that I needed to change it out and that it was irritating. So if you pay attention to the message, then you wouldn't be worried about the beep. I'm just saying. So anyhow, so please don't worry about the beep. And then if you hear a little jingle, that's my dog. That's Miss Whoopi. From time to time, if she hears people outside, sometimes she gets up and you hear like a little jingle or whatever. So I am forewarning you. So if you get a little sidetracked, that's the reason why. But again, focus on the message. So anyhow, daycare depression. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what I went through in working in this field. So initially, when you're beginning to start your business, you have all these wonderful ideas. You think about all the creative things that you're going to do with the kids. You're coming up with your policies and procedures and your rules. And, your family seems to be on board. You have supportive husbands, supportive friends, family members, and so on and so forth. And so it's a beautiful thing. The most beautiful thing, I think, is getting out and buying stuff and watching your daycare, I guess you can say, just kind of unfold before your eyes. So that's just like the magic of the whole thing. And then when you get that first kid, it's even more exciting, because there you have it. Like, business is open. Like, we're in business. We got our first kid. And so what we don't know is what happens over a period of time of being in this field. And so what happened to me was I went through that whole phase of feeling so excited and so grand about, this experience that I had, but I forgot that I was a mom. Okay, so that was one of the things that I had forgotten. I kind of forgotten that I was a mom. And when I say that, I'm not saying like I left my kids behind, but I forgot that in starting this business that I still had a lot of other responsibilities that I had to tend to. And so for those of you that have like families and things like that, I encourage you to really look into it, and to make sure that you have your family that's on board. So anyhow, starting off, everything was pretty cool for me. I was very excited. I was recording a lot of things, posting them on Facebook. Life was just exciting. And even though I opened up from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me at all. Again, I was excited about what I was doing. It was like my dream come true, and I had stepped out on faith. But what happened over a period of time is this. Family, being in the house all the time, 12 hours a day, and not, I guess you can say, functioning in society, it kind of, I guess you can say, put me in a space where I guess you can say, exhausted by the field. I had become exhausted because I felt like everything um, that took place in my life just simply revolved around the daycare. And not only that, I think that part of the issue with having an in-home business is that your family and friends, they don't respect the fact that it's a job for you. So what happens is they call you and ask you to do favors. Can you go and pick up my kid? They got suspended from school. Can you come by and I guess you can say, feed my dog, or can you pick me up some things from the grocery store when you're on your way? There were just so many, I guess you can say, demands, or favors that people were asking from me. I'm sorry, and then I began to kind of fall in line and do those things because to myself I had the time. But then if you run a daycare like I run a daycare, education was extremely important to me. So this is what you had. My children who had their own personal issues in school. In addition to that, there were tutoring sessions and things like that that had to take place. In addition to that, my husband, he was expecting a meal when he came home because I'm at home, right? Then he was expecting the house to be clean when I got home. And in addition to that, I was having to wash, take care of the house, taking kids to the doctor. I was having to, see about myself. And I think that myself was last. Like, I always felt like I couldn't exercise. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't doing it because I didn't have enough time in the day. So when the kids ate at the daycare, I ate. And I started gaining all of this weight. And as you guys can see, I started gaining like a lot of weight since I got in this field. And what I did was I even had to change the eating habits here at the daycare because we were, when I fixed the menu based on kid-friendly foods like nachos and pizza and hot dogs and, things that I thought that kids would want to eat for lunch. But I had to start changing some of that. We started eating baked chicken and like spaghetti and things like that. Then I changed the pasta, and I was changing things like slowly but surely because I had picked up a lot of weight. Didn't get the opportunity to exercise, and so with my family taking so much from me, and then this is how I knew that people were taking my business for granted because I started getting phone calls during the day, and my friends will say, "What you doing?" They would ask me what I was doing. So to them, my job wasn't important because clearly, my hours are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then you call me and you say, "Girl, what you doing?" Let me tell you, no respect, no respect. And so that's just pretty much how my life was. So now that's the family portion of it. Then you get to the daycare portion of it. So you're having to lesson plan. You're having to make sure that the place is clean. You're having to make sure that you're cooking for children. You're having to make sure that you are following all of the standards per licensing guidelines. You're having to make sure that you're taking those kids out to play. You're having to make sure that you are educating them in addition to doing the lesson plans. And see, my school is set up, my home daycare is set up as a school. So I had all 7 centers, your dramatic play, your construction, all of these particular centers set up. And so I was constantly having to change those out to fit the thematic unit that I had. And so I know this sounds like a lot, but that's just pretty much what it was. And I became exhausted. I was so exhausted from this field. And there were so many times that I just didn't want to do it anymore. And to be quite frank with you, I even had some parents that came to me and they were like, it's just not the same. The feeling that I had in the beginning, when you first started and you opened up the doors to the daycare, it's just not the same. And that's because reality had set in that I had so much on me. And the thing about it is that my life simply revolved around everybody else and what everybody, and then the daycare. And so I came up with a set of rules. And I call them, I guess you can say, the 5T rules. So there are 5T's that we're going to address today. And these rules are going to help you guys, I guess, to appreciate the work that you do and then to take away some of your stress levels, okay? So the first one is time. It's important for us to take time out for ourselves, okay? But before you do that, um, you want to set a schedule for yourself. And in setting the schedule for yourself, you need to make sure that you are taking time out for yourself. Even if you have to take a day off of work, and I know you have Friday and Saturday that you take off, most of us do, but even if you have to take off a day out of the week, then you want to make sure that you do that. And for those of us women who have, like, for us women who are still having our cycles and things like that, and I'm very open and honest, but you have few issues going on, so it's important that you guys at least take that first day of rest. Because it's very stressful. You know what I mean? It's very uncomfortable, very stressful. You want to make sure that you are taking time out for yourself. So you're going to plan a schedule for just you. So you're going to, in that schedule, you're going to plan things that you want to do, like reading and exercise and writing and, things like that. So you want to make sure that you're taking time out. The next one is team. Okay, that's very important. And when you say team, team to me stands for together everyone achieves more. Your team is your family, your husbands. Well, that's your family. Your team is your family, your friends, and your workers. Oftentimes, we have this world that we live in that's just so perfect. That means, and it's sort of like, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. And so I need to do it. And then I keep taking on the responsibility of doing all of these things for myself. And I have all these people that are around me that are able to do these things. So if you have a little grocery shopping, if your mom is in the area, send your mom a list of some of the things that you need. What's so cool now, they have it where they deliver your groceries to you. Not only do they deliver your groceries to you, but you can even go online and pick all of your groceries and then go to the grocery store and pick them up, in addition to having to run to the store. So I think that that's pretty cool. So you want to utilize things like that to make sure that you're not, that you're able to save some of your time. And another thing with delegating, you want to make sure that your workers are able to take on some of the tasks that you're not able to do. If you have the food program, train your workers and your family and stuff like that on the food program, on the software, so that they could do some of that stuff too. Or give them a list and say, at a certain time, can you make sure that you help out at the house and do X, Y, and Z. So never be afraid to delegate, okay? The second one, train. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest issues that I had the biggest issue of my family respecting the fact that this was a business. So I would have my son who would say, Mama, can my friends come in? We're just going to hang out upstairs. Oh, your friends can't come upstairs. It's during my business hours, but we're upstairs. It doesn't matter if you're still upstairs. It's still my business hours. So know your friends. Anybody that's 13 years or older, I have to run a background check on them. I can't just have them in here like that, and they're leaving me liable and responsible for these kids that don't belong to me. So you have those issues. And then my husband was the worst, because my husband, he had this thing where he would leave things out like medicine, or, like if he shaved his face or something like that, a razor, or, little things that I was having to pick up behind him on, because he just simply did not understand that there were certain rules that applied to this home that I just couldn't do anymore. So if you use bleach, put it back. Simple. But I realized that I had made a mistake. He knew that this was a business, but he didn't know the severity of some of the things that he was doing. So I had to sit down and I literally had to make sure that, even though that is a requirement, but I think it's important for us to go in depth with making sure that our family is trained and they understand the importance of the minimum standards, or your standards for your state, or whatever the case may be. So that's important for them to be able to understand that. Train, train, train. And make sure that your workers are highly trained